My name is Dr. Michael Rowan. I have worked for the SCP Foundation for 17 years. 3 weeks ago, I began a personal project. I requested access to incident testimonies, the complete archive, final statements from personnel who didn't make it out, written accounts, recorded confessions, last words scrawled on containment cell walls. The official files are sanitized, clinical. They list cause of death, containment status, procedural failures, clean numbers in neat columns. But the testimonies tell you what it was actually like, what they saw, what they felt, what they understood in those final moments. I'm compiling my own archive, my own files, more complete than what sits in the official database. I'm recording my analysis of each case because I think these incidents deserve more than a sterile incident report. They deserve context, understanding. The materials were stored in Dr. Rebecca Mallory's old office. She died 8 years ago. Someone had cleared out most of her things, but they left the filing cabinets. Hundreds of testimonies on yellowed paper, printouts, photographs, even some audio recordings on old cassettes. No one knew what to do with them, so they just stayed there, gathering dust. Her coffee mug was still on the desk. The coffee had crystallized inside it. No one wanted to touch it. I left it there too. I'm going through all of them, every single testimony in those cabinets, creating comprehensive case files, complete documentation. Maybe someone will find value in this work one day. Maybe they won't. Nevertheless, I'm still going to do it. The first file I'm documenting is SCP-096. Some idiot named it the Shy Guy. Foundation personnel have a dark sense of humor. You have to in this job, or you'd lose your mind in the first month. Don't let the nickname fool you. If you see its face, even a photograph, a reflection, even 4 pixels on a degraded security feed, it will find you. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how fast you run or how many doors you lock. It will come for you, and it will not stop until you are dead. The incident I'm documenting occurred 8 years ago. Dr. Rebecca Mallory's testimony. I knew Rebecca. We went through orientation together years ago. She made jokes during the worst briefings, always kept mints in her desk drawer, the strong ones that made your eyes water. Her testimony was handwritten, 4 pages, front and back, in increasingly erratic script. The last page is barely legible. She was writing fast, and you can see where her hand was shaking. I sat down at her old desk, under the dim fluorescent light that flickers every few seconds, and I began to read. The testimony was dated and time-stamped at the top in a precise handwriting, 2:47 a.m. She wrote that she was in Safe Room 7, Eastern Corridor. She estimated she had less than 5 minutes before it breached the final blast door. She could hear it working through the reinforced steel. The sound was rhythmic, methodical. It didn't tire. She wrote that she needed to document what happened, what she did, because this was her failure. They'd been conducting routine visual analysis of SCP-096 containment chamber. Standard protocol, camera feeds only, no direct observation. But there was a degraded pixel cluster in Quadrant 3 of the primary feed. Maintenance reported it as a sensor malfunction, but Rebecca wanted to verify the actual chamber integrity before scheduling costly equipment replacement. She authorized Technician Zhao to enter the observation corridor for physical visual confirmation through the reinforced window. 20 seconds. That should have been sufficient. The sensor wasn't malfunctioning. The camera feed was degraded from inside the containment chamber. There was a hairline fracture in the containment glass, nearly visible. She'd missed it during pre-inspection review. When Zhao looked through the observation window, he saw 096's face, reflected. 4 pixels worth of reflected image through compromised glass. I had to stop reading for a moment when I got to that part. See, 3 months before this incident, Rebecca came to me with a proposal. We were experiencing frequent false positives with the optical monitoring system for 096. Every sensor glitch triggered full containment protocols, lockdowns, equipment shutdowns, maintenance delays. It was bleeding resources. Rebecca proposed a protocol amendment, visual confirmation by senior personnel for sensor anomalies before triggering full maintenance response, just to verify whether we were dealing with actual structural compromise or simple equipment failure. It made sense. It was efficient. I approved it. I went back to reading her testimony. Rebecca wrote that it came through the containment chamber wall in 6 seconds, went through Zhao before he could scream. She sealed the observation corridor, triggered facility-wide lockdown, but it was already loose in Site 19. She saw it. When she ran to help Zhao, she looked through the window. She saw what was standing over him. So now, it was coming for her too. She wrote about all her years at the Foundation, how she had contained entities that could end human civilization, how she'd survived 3 separate containment breaches, how she was going to die because she made a rookie mistake. Visual confirmation before sensor replacement. Protocol is protocol for a reason, she wrote. I thought I knew better. I thought efficiency mattered more than redundancy. She noted that the 3rd blast door had just failed. One more barrier. She wrote instructions for whoever found her testimony. Tell Dr. Hernandez the quarantine held. Delta Wing was sealed. It couldn't breach Sector 4 as long as no one else looked at it. Tell her team she was sorry. And then she wrote, Tell Dr. Rowan. Tell them I'm sorry. They trusted my judgment on the visual inspection protocol. The failure is mine, not theirs. The handwriting gets worse on the final page. You can see where she paused, where the pen dug into the paper. She estimated 30 seconds left. She wrote about being afraid, how this was different from the other fear she'd experienced at the Foundation. It wasn't coming to feed. It wasn't coming because it escaped. It was coming because she saw it, and that was all the reason it needed. For the record, she wrote, SCP-096 containment breach resulted from personnel error in observation protocol implementation. Her error. Containment chamber structural compromise should have triggered automatic lockdown before any visual verification. Dr. Rebecca Mallory, 23 years of Foundation service. Time of death, approximately 2:51 a.m. The final line is almost illegible, just a scrawl. I should have trusted the protocol. Then, nothing. According to the incident report, they found her body, what was left of it, 17 minutes later. The testimony was clutched in her hand. They had to break her fingers to retrieve it. The post-incident review cleared me, of course. Protocol amendment was within acceptable safety parameters given available information. That's what the report concluded. Rebecca's death was ruled personnel error. Her decision to authorize direct corridor observation instead of remote verification. The review board noted that the protocol I'd approved was sound. The failure point was Rebecca's application of it. Her judgment call in the moment. But I wrote the policy that made that judgment call possible. I sat with this testimony a while after reading it, reread it several times, studied her handwriting, the way it deteriorated as time ran out. There's something almost beautiful about it. The precision of her documentation, even as she was dying. The commitment to protocol, even at the near end. She apologized to me in her last minutes alive. She apologized for failing my protocol. That's dedication. That's what years at the Foundation creates. Personnel who apologize for dying. There was a second testimony in the file. A civilian named Jonah Mitchell. This one was typed on official Foundation letterhead. Not by him, by the MTF team that recovered his phone. They transcribed the voice memo he had been recording when he died. I could see the clinical detachment in how they'd formatted it, adding brackets for context and sound descriptions. The transcript indicated Jonah had been running when he started recording. He'd been breathing heavily. He said he was recording because if he didn't make it out, someone needed to know what he saw. His name was Jonah Mitchell. He was a photographer. He'd been hiking in a redacted location. The Foundation had blacked out the specific forest name, doing a series on abandoned infrastructure. He'd found what he thought was an old Cold War facility, concrete bunker. The fence was down in one section. The door was hanging open like someone had left in a hurry. He went inside. Just wanted some shots. Decay photography, that aesthetic that's popular with urban explorers. The hallway was destroyed. Not old destroyed. Recent. Like something massive had just torn through. There was blood on the walls. Still wet. He said how he should have left. That he knew he should have left. But there was a room at the end. Door completely ripped off its hinges. And inside there was a body. A woman in a lab coat. The way she was lying, he couldn't even describe it. And behind her, in the corner of the room, there was something. He took a picture. Didn't even think about it. Just instinct. Point. Click. Flash goes off. Then, he looked at the screen. At the preview image. There was something in the corner. Pale. Too tall. The transcript noted the sound of branches breaking. Jonah shouting expletives. Then his phone dropped. The MTF team transcribed the sounds that followed. Screaming. Other sounds they clinically described as wet sounds consistent with severe physical trauma. Then silence. Then, a new voice on the recording. Professional. Clipped. MTF Epsilon 11 on scene. Civilian confirmed deceased. SCP-096 was non-responsive. Just sitting there. Someone needed to get containment there immediately. There was radio chatter transcribed in brackets. Then, confirmation that it had seen itself in the photo. The camera screen was still on when they arrived. Maybe 5, 6 pixels of its face visible. The operative ordered someone to get a bag over its head, prep for transport, and wipe that phone completely. The final line transcribed was the operative saying, "Poor bastard didn't even know what he was looking at." I read through Jonah Mitchell's information in the attached file. Age 26, freelance photographer based in Portland. No immediate family. His death was officially ruled a hiking accident. Body found at the base of a cliff 3 miles from the incident site. The Foundation cleaned up Site 19's damaged eastern section within 48 hours. The official story was structural failure during maintenance. They demolished the entire wing, sealed it, built a new access corridor 6 months later. Rebecca got a memorial plaque in the Site 19 atrium. Lost in service to containment. Generic. Respectful. It doesn't mention how she died. Just that she died protecting others. Which is true. Technically. Her lockdown protocols held. Delta Wing stayed sealed. SCP-096 was recontained within 40 minutes of breaching her safe room. 40 minutes. Jonah Mitchell died in minute 38. If Rebecca's response had been 30 seconds slower, 096 might have reached the main facility, might have been seen by dozens of personnel, might have killed everyone in Site 19. But she held the line. Even dying, she held the line. That's worth noting in my documentation. The protocols I authorized after this incident have been perfect. No containment failures in 8 years. Enhanced structural monitoring. Automated lockdown triggers for any visual anomaly. No more human judgment calls on sensor malfunctions. I fixed the problem. The system works now. I keep thinking about Rebecca's testimony. Protocol is protocol for a reason. She was right. Of course. But protocols evolve. They have to. We can't let outdated procedures waste resources just because we're afraid of optimization. The review board understood that. My decision was sound. The implementation had flaws, yes, but the underlying logic was correct. 2 people died, but the improved protocols have potentially saved dozens since then. That's how risk assessment works. You can't make decisions based on individual outcomes. You have to look at aggregate results over time. I have 86 more files to document. I'm creating a comprehensive archive. Something complete. Something that shows the full scope of Foundation operations, not just the sanitized version in official reports. This is important work. Be mindful of your mind. That's what my first supervisor told me during orientation. The Foundation changes how you think. Every decision, every authorization, every calculated risk. You have to stay aware of that shift. Monitor yourself. I think I've done a good job of that. 17 years, and I still remember why the work matters. Next, I'll document another case. The files are organized chronologically in Rebecca's cabinets. The next one involves a transport incident with SCP-173. It'll be interesting to review the testimonies, see how the personnel handled the situation, whether they followed my procedure correctly. Good documentation requires thoroughness. I'm going to finish this archive, all 87 files. Every testimony deserves to be properly documented. Every incident deserves full context. That's what separates us from the anomalies we contain. We remember. We learn.